Yo, good morning. Welcome to the Stokastic.com MLB Strategy Show. Dave Loughran here. Yeah, June 1st, man. We're into the month of June. We got a nice 7-gamer today. I got a little sunburn yesterday. I was at my niece's flag football game. Flag football is becoming big amongst girls, and my niece is nasty, dude. Cuts on a dime. Good player. But it's up on the ridge. It's up on the hill. And I'm burnt. Feeling it. But we're here. I wouldn't miss this show for a little sunburn. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend as well, though. Morning to all of you. Michael, Ryan. I don't know, Ryan. I mean, hopefully soon, probably when NBA's over. Steven, yes, atone for your sins this fine morning. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. It's free to do. It goes a long way. Leave a comment down below. And obviously, if you're watching or listening in podcast form, shoot us a rating and a review. That goes a long way. If you're watching on X, you know what to do. Like the stream, whatever it may be, all that does a lot for us. So yeah, appreciate all the support that you guys do along the way. Tuning into this one each and every day as well is good stuff. So yeah, man, let's make it happen. All right. Let me just get this post out there. All right, let's do it. So yeah, pitching's very good today. I didn't mention that yet, but you've got some sick pitching options up top. No basketball today. How about the fact, dude, San Antonio takes out OKC? Oof. Anthony, what's up, brother? Laffy, finally able to catch you live, bro. Yeah, good to see you, man. It's been a while. Nice to see you as always, though, dude. Clintwood, Tiffany, Roger, hey. Yeah. Oh, Tiff. I know. No, I did not bet Tatis, but somebody sent me showing that he homered. It doesn't matter. I would have bet him to hit 2 homers anyway, Tiffany, so it doesn't make a difference. Grant took down my 3rd solo shot in 10 days over the weekend. Tools will pay for themselves with a little work to find an even bigger edge. Yo, I love hearing that, man. That's awesome. So, I mean, I guess it's high time before we get into it. I always shout out the weekend winners. I always shout out last week's winners. Travis Meyer, 17,500. Uncle T, I'd say we're on a heater lately. Huge. Our boy S&P was able to cruise the victory in the 4-seamer last night thanks to the tools taking my inputs and doing their thing. Shout out to Robleski and Bayo being the nuts at a combined 6% owned. S&P's the man. So it's good to see him get that. And how about this? Roger Allen, Sunday Fun Day with the Stochastic Tools, took second in the 50-cent mini-max. That's 3 times in a month, twice in 4 days. I look forward to the Monday Laffy baseball show. Hey, and finally, how about this? DFS fan turned a nickel into $100. Another win. Can't beat the Tools. 2nd win in a couple weeks. So congrats to all of you guys. We love to see it. As always, if you're new here or if you've been on the fence, link in the description. 15% off any of the tools, any week, any month, any sport, core, max, doesn't matter, including all access. It's the biggest, actual dollar discount you could get. All access. We still have 6 sports in action. Great time to dive in. But whatever you want, 15% off with the code MLB Strategy will get you there. All right, let's get into some baseball. We've got a fun one today and an odd one because at the bottom, pitching's pretty bad. Pitching does not look great at the bottom at all. At the top, pitching looks great. I'll pull up the tools right here and let's talk about it a little bit. So if you guys haven't looked at it yet, if you haven't looked at any of the tools yet, you're about to see what I'm talking about. So check this out. I got the data hub pulled up for you guys. Top pitcher probability. So on DraftKings, this is a top 2 pitcher probability, in case you guys were wondering. It's not the likelihood that they are the number 1 overall pitcher because you don't need them to be. You just want that, top 2 pitcher on a 2-pitcher site. So you have Jose Soriano, who has been all over the map lately, right? Some good, some bad, some terrible, some incredible. He's been a tough guy to pin down after the first 4 or 5 starts of the season where he was actually absolutely crushing. Now, Chris, Nick Martinez, you're throwing me off here, but yes, Nick Martinez. I told you, we shit on Nick Martinez far too much on that show for him to not go out there and put up. What did he finish with? I know he only had 5 strikeouts. It was 7 innings, 2 runs, 5 Ks. But you knew it was coming, right? It was inevitable at that. I'm surprised he didn't go complete game shutout with double-digit strikeouts. Big Kev, love this time of day. Morning, everybody. You too, man. Morning to all you guys. You too, Amy and Harry Potter. So, all right, look at this, though. We have 30% top two pitcher probability to Jose Soriano. He's at home going up against the Colorado Rockies. They have a slate low, really a day low, lowest of any team on this slate. 3.4 run implied total. Now, the other thing that we always like to look at, right, is not just the fact of whether or not, you know, they have a good matchup on paper and that the team has a low run total. I mean, oftentimes what we actually care about more than anything else, as a matter of fact, is strikeouts, right? And obviously the projections are accounting for all of that. The data is accounting for all of that, but I still like to look. So I was very curious. I'm thinking, all right, what's Jose Soriano at today in this specific spot? Because again, he's been a tough guy for us to figure out. Well, come to figure that Jose Soriano's strikeout prop on FanDuel, on Caesars, is 7.5. Now, granted, plus 118, but still 7.5 strikeout prop for Jose Soriano today. Now, even if you were to say it's 6.5, he's got heavy juice to the over on every single book. If you look at his outs prop, right, Soriano's at 18.5. So now you're talking like 6+ innings. This isn't obviously a guarantee that he gets there, but this is, if you were to just take what is implied by the odds, right, by the strikeout prop, by the outs prop, by the earned runs prop, and Soriano's sitting at, where's he at? Let's see, 1.5. Actually, juiced to the under in some spots. You're talking about under 2 runs, around 7 strikeouts and 6+ innings. I know he hasn't been reliable lately, but that is verifiably a difficult spot to get away from, right? We say this sometimes, where you just come upon a slate where there's 1 or 2 pitchers that are just very, very difficult to get away from. For example, Jacob Mizorowski, literally any time he pitches. By the way, I don't know if you guys have looked, because he's not pitching today. He pitched yesterday, and he went another 7 scoreless with 8 strikeouts, 33 DraftKings points, 30+ DraftKings points in 6 straight games. 6 straight games. I don't know if you've looked at his price point. He's $12K right now. Here, let's play a fun game here. Does anyone remember the last pitcher that was priced at $12,000? The last, maybe it was last year. Maybe Skubal was. Tarek Skubal might have been. Maybe at one point Garrett Crochet, but I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that any of them ever actually hit 12K. I'm really not sure they've ever hit 12K. There was a time where like FanDuel had a cap and a player couldn't be above $9,900. So LeBron James was just $9,900 every day. I mean, imagine if that were the case with DraftKings. If Mizorowski does this again, he's going to hit 13K. Mohamed Strider, yeah, but what would that have been? 3 years ago? Right? Like how many years ago would that have been for Strider? I'd say a while. For sure. So, I don't know. It's pretty crazy. You know what else is wild? That Jacob Mizorowski still does not have the shortest odds in the NL to win the Cy Young. Because it's Christopher Sanchez. But it's way closer now than it was. Which is crazy because Christopher Sanchez's last start was 7 scoreless innings too. Just amazing stuff, man, what these guys are doing out there. But anyway, Jose Soriano. Then you have Chase Burns. So we've got Chase Burns in another very appealing spot. Kansas City has a low total. You know for a fact, and I haven't even looked yet, but Chase Burns is going to have a strikeout prop that is comparable to Jose Soriano. I want to say it's going to be 6.5. It's 7.5 in some spots. Look, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing as Soriano. Outs prop on Burns is 17.5. Earned runs prop has got to be 1.5. Yeah, 1.5. Soriano does look a little marginally better, but still, Chase Burns looks great. And then you have Joe Ryan against the White Sox, a White Sox team that just last start, he absolutely dominated. Joe Ryan's been really good. And to me, he's always the type of guy that I don't know what to think of him because he's good, but never really feels great. You know what I mean? Joe Ryan's good, but you never look at him and go, man, this guy is just fantastic. However, you look at him this year, he really has been good. He's got a 28% strikeout rate, which is pretty much on par with all of these other guys. Look, these are the pitchers going today. DeGrom, we didn't even talk about him yet. He's at 29%. Burns is at 29%. Ryan's almost at 28%. Soriano's at 20%. Emmett Sheehan's at 27%. Landon Roop's at 27%. Not the most appealing matchup there. But again, all of these guys today, look how many guys on this slate have 25+% strikeout rates. It's pretty amazing. Now, are you looking at Sean Manaea in a relief role today? No, I don't think we're going to be getting much Sean Manaea at 5,500 against Seattle. Although, I don't know. Who the hell knows? Maybe it'll be viable. But still, all of these really good spots, and we have to choose from them. Cavalli's not on this slate, but most of these other guys are. Like DeGrom's on the slate. Burns is on the slate. Joe Ryan's on the slate. Austin Warren, but he's an opener, so that doesn't count. But Landon Roop's on the slate. Emmett Sheehan's on the slate. Soriano's on the slate. Hancock's on the slate. That's a lot. Now, mind you, Milwaukee has a long reliever and opener situation. Chad Patrick's still at $8,000. I have not looked at our exposures yet. I'll pull them up right now, but I cannot imagine that we are getting to any Chad Patrick. He's not throwing a lot of pitches. He was pitching out of the bullpen for a bit there. Last time out, he threw 61 pitches in 4 innings. He was good, but does it warrant an 8K price point when you've got these other guys at similar price points and better matchups with much better props? Absolutely not. Dalton, I'm playing Kyle Freeland today. Well, sir, Godspeed. I wish you the best of luck. We have 3% of him right now. Do you actually want to talk about Kyle Freeland? Because we do like talking about pitchers against the Angels. Lest we forget, it was Nick Martinez last time against the Angels that had that game. The difference, though, is that Nick Martinez has actually been good, right? Like, Nick Martinez hasn't been getting a lot of strikeouts. He doesn't miss a lot of bats, but also he's been very good. Kyle Freeland, on the other hand, has a 19% strikeout rate, which is better than Nick Martinez, but he's just bad. You know? He's just not good. I think it's reasonable to point out that he's been a little bit unlucky. You know, his xFIP's 4.42 and his ERA is 8.08. He pitches at Coors Field. Double A, listen, brother, you don't have to tell me. You know I know this. The Angels are one of our favorite teams to pick on. Not only that, they're one of our favorite teams to stack as well. They're the epitome of feast or famine when it comes to MLB DFS. That's just who they are. The Angels will destroy you so many times, no matter what side you're on. You played Jacob deGrom the other week against the Angels? Nope. Forget about it. But then you play Nick Martinez or some other dumpster dive pitcher against them, and they end up going for 30. They're a difficult team to figure out because there's no real rhyme or reason. They have power, but they strike out a ton. So if they're not hitting for power, they're striking out. It's actually very simple. The concept is simple. Figuring out what's going to happen with them each time is the difficult part. But the Angels have a 4.8 run implied total today. The other thing about them, too, you look at them against righties, okay? They have a 25.9% strikeout rate, a 101 WRC plus, which is 18th. They have the highest K rate in the league. You look at them against lefties, which, Kyle Freeland is. Hold on a second here. And where are they? They might still be towards the top, but I don't think they're as high. 24% K rate, 160 ISO, which is 8th highest in baseball. 317 WOBA is 12th. 99 WRC plus is 12th as well. They can go out there and run it up with righties. They can put a ton of righties out there. Kyle Freeland, well, let's see how he's performed against righties. Now, it's funny because usually it doesn't really matter. If you're a left-handed pitcher and you've been bad, it just means that righties have been good against you because most teams aren't running out 6 lefties against the righty. You might run out 5, 6 righties against the righty, The Angels do it every single time. But with a lefty pitcher, with a southpaw, you don't see that. Anyway, against righties, 436 weighted on base average for Freeland this year, 11 home runs. I mean, that's highly concerning. 20% strikeouts, 3 home runs per 9, a 6.8 FIP. Yeah, so I mean, I guess go for it. 26% home run to fly ball rate. That's abysmal. And home runs per 9 among all the pitchers on this slate. Yeah, overall, Kyle Freeland at 2.55. It's pretty bad. FIP, he has the highest FIP of any pitcher going today. Yeah, I'm not going to put lipstick on a pig here, brother. This one doesn't look all that great. You get to a little bit of them and you hope that the Angels just end up being terrible, which is always possible. Sure. But then at the same time, I mean, who are we fading to get to Kyle Freeland? I know he's really cheap. I get that. Honestly, I'd almost be more tempted to get to Sean Manaea. What do you guys think? Sean Manaea or Kyle Freeland, if you had to get to one of them? I mean, Manaea's coming in long relief today. He did throw 68 pitches last time out. I don't know how many pitches he's going to throw today. I really don't. But the difference is Sean Manaea actually has semi-reasonable strikeout stuff. Like, as I mentioned, he's striking batters out at a pretty decent clip on the season. And it's not like he's throwing a ton of innings, but 24% strikeout rate. By the way, I'm not dying on either hill here. I'm just saying, if you're looking to go really cheap, you're going sub 6K. I would probably rather go Sean Manaea before I go to Kyle Freeland. Both left-handers, except Seattle this year has been absolutely awful against lefties. I mean, they have the 3rd worst WRC plus in the league, ahead of only Texas and Colorado. I'll do you one better. They have a 124 ISO. Amazing, right? How bad they've fallen. Could they still turn it around? Sure, but they have a top 10 K rate. They're not even walking at an elite clip. They're 17th in walk rate. 278 WOBA is dead last in the league. If anyone were to come out there today, I'd probably just be like, hey, give me a little bit of Sean Manaea. Emily, hello, Lofty. Hello, Emily Walker, RG3. YouTube screwed up all these handles when they made those adjustments. Look, would I consider Manaea? Sure. Do I love him? No. Aaron, Manaea and Avila, and prayers your high-end bats go off. Yeah, so that's the other thing. If you talk about high-end bats today, there aren't that many high totals. Cincinnati's at 5. They're at home at Great American Ballpark. So that's always going to favor bats. 75 degrees, no real wind there. Although I like Chase Burns. Who else? The Dodgers. Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers at 5.1. That's not surprising. Although the thing is, Eduardo Rodriguez, this is less of an indictment on Rodriguez and more so just, hey, the Dodgers have really good bats. But it's not like Rodriguez is bad at all. Do you love a Dodgers stack today? I don't. Rodriguez has given up 1 home run over the last 6 weeks. You know, he doesn't give up a lot of power at all. So those are some of your highest totals on the slate. And if that's the case, like, I don't know. It doesn't mean I don't like Dodger bats. And maybe we get to a lot of them. I haven't even looked yet. And we will in just a second. But Rodriguez is not an extreme fly ball pitcher. He's not an elite strikeout pitcher. I'm not looking to roster him today, but I don't love stacking against him at all. Matter of fact, he has a 3.7 FIP. It's pretty good. I don't know. I just think that when you look at the high-end bats today, you don't have that much. The Angels look pretty good against Freeland, but again, they're super literally hit or miss. They are. That's what they are. Washington's not in the slate. Minnesota is at 4.6 today in Minnesota against Sandlin. And he's had 1 start, 6 one-run innings, 1 hit on 61 pitches, by the way. But, I mean, can you expect that to continue? I don't know. Clayton, with the Dodgers being the only really expensive stack, I'm staying in that 8K range at pitcher. I'm not going to lie, man. It feels like the move. Although, well, wait, you're staying in the 8K range, or you're saying that's the lowest you want to go? Because I'm not gonna live in the 8K range with both pitchers. I don't think you need to. Here, look at the top stack tool for a second. And by the way, for those of you who jumped in late, Soriano, Chase Burns, Joe Ryan, DeGrom, all 20% top 2 pitcher probability, but Soriano and Burns are kind of on an island of their own. And then you have Ryan and DeGrom there, followed by Emmett Sheehan and Hancock, and Landon Root. Once you get past those guys, honestly, it is very difficult to feel good about any pitcher. But I do think Landon Root was okay. He's a quality arm, and he's having a great year. We'll talk about him more. And Emerson Hancock has been pretty solid. Matter of fact, it feels like he's been maybe the most reliable pitching option for Seattle all season long. Seriously. Gilbert's coming off a good game, but Kirby's been all over the place. So is Gilbert. Luis Castillo, basically doesn't have a job anymore. So, yeah. Brian Woo's good too. Don't get me wrong. But also, Woo's been kind of all over the place, hasn't he? I mean, Woo was arguably the most, I'm not saying the best, but arguably the most consistent pitcher last season. Seriously, you can look it up. Like, how many straight starts he went 6+ innings. This year, he's looked a lot different, and he's got blasted on several occasions as well. Josh, Emmett Sheehan's solid today. Yeah, I think he's fine. I'm never in love with a spot against Arizona just because they're not, a massively high strikeout team, but they're also just not a very good offense either. They're just, this year, as a matter of fact, and I'll show you guys right now, the Arizona Diamondbacks, look at this, against righties. Hold on, let me pull up active roster against righties. So active roster, 1,300 plate appearances. They're 23rd in WOBA. 95 WRC plus is bottom, 8? Bottom 8. 20.9% K rate, though. Again, that's 20th. So, they're just not a great team, but they're not the best matchup. They're not an Angels matchup for a good righty. They're not the Rockies for essentially anybody, or the White Sox for anybody. They're not that bad. But also, Emmett Sheehan's definitely in play today. Musk, late to the party. Morning, Lafayette. Good to see you, brother. All right, so let's go into the top stacks for a second. We will come back to pitchers, but Clayton got the gears turning in my mind now. So, Josh, don't worry about one game against an individual team. It means nothing. I always tell people this when you look at game logs, especially on a minuscule sample such as that, you're applying zero context to it, right? Like, what happened if last time Emmett Sheehan went out there? And this isn't me saying you got to play him or don't play him. I'm just for the future, for future reference. What happened if last time Emmett Sheehan went out there, he hung like one pitch and it ended up being a 3-run home run, and then everything else was great? Or like one of them, hit the chalk down the left field line, or there's so many weird instances in baseball where you could look back and go, that guy actually threw a really solid game, and like it just didn't work out for him. That was also his first start of the season. So many pitchers in their first start of the season don't look good. They're not stretched out. Things aren't working. I try to be very careful when it comes to looking at like 1 or 2 game samples, particularly, BVP in that respect. You'd have to get so many at bats, so many plate appearances for it to merit any, headspace. But yeah. Anyway, here's the top stack probability today. 16% Dodgers, which really isn't that high, especially for a 7-game slate. So you're saying like 84% of the time they're not the top stack. 16% of the time on a 7-gamer, like that's okay. And they still have slight positive leverage because their ownership shares at 14%, but not great. Cincinnati against Avila, 12%. I always like Cincy at home. I do. They look decent from a value perspective. They are getting ownership. And then the Angels at 10%. Good value score on the Angels. They are getting ownership as well, right? Like they're the 3 highest owned teams and the 3 best top stacks. That doesn't mean we're not going to play them though. Like we have them 1, 2, and 3 in top stack score. Dodgers, Cincinnati Angels, for those of you listening in podcast form, followed by Kansas City, Texas against McGreevy, Minnesota against David Sandlin. And then you come down here into the 5% range. You're talking like White Sox against Ryan, Mets against Hancock, Colorado against Soriano. None of these look great. But your top value teams today, Kansas City against Chase Burns. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of him only because of the park. Once you start warming up out there in Cincinnati at Great American Ballpark, I mean, it's the best home run park in the league, man. So I don't think that's out of the question. Texas might look okay when we go look at our exposures. Angels is definitely going to look pretty good. I mean, they're good in value. They have one of the highest totals on the slate. So all of that makes a lot of sense. Emily, can I play Freeland? I talked about it earlier. I won't relitigate all of that, but if you go back like 15 minutes and rewatch that part, I actually spent way more time on Kyle Freeland than I believe I should have. But yeah, we talked about it. I'd rather go to Manaea if I were going that cheap. I don't think you really need to go that cheap though. Look, you guys tell me if you're looking at this slate, do you think you need to get cheap here? I'm not convinced you do, and I mean at pitching. Like Soriano's sub 10K again. Burns is 10-2, okay. But Joe Ryan's 9K. DeGrom's not that expensive either. Like Joe Ryan and DeGrom alone are pretty decently priced. Hancock's 8K. Emmett Sheehan's 7,800. Landon Roop doesn't even look bad. Although I don't love the matchup, he's still a good pitcher at $8,500. A good pitcher with a 27% strikeout rate this year. You know, that hasn't come along with issuing a ton of walks. 2.66 FIP for Landon Roop. Like, he's good. He's absolutely good. He's allowing 0.45 home runs per 9, which is another feather in the cap if you're looking to play this guy. It's just unfortunate that you haven't had many like really impressive outings lately. Like wow, look at this. San Francisco's lost 5 straight starts of his, which, you know, like they lost one where he gave up 1 run. They lost another where he gave up 1 run in 6 innings. 2 earned in 5 innings they lost. That's why I'm saying without context, what does this matter? You know? He's not my favorite pitcher today by any stretch of the imagination, but he's definitely in play. And I think that's where you draw the line. I think that's where the cutoff is. But that's still 7 pitchers that look pretty good. 1-1-2-2. Unless you're playing Dodgers 5-mans, you don't need the extra salary. Yeah, I don't think so either. And yeah, someone mentioned that as well. My man Pots and Pans. My man Pots and Pans. That's the name. That's a new face in here. What's up, brother? So yeah, you're probably a little bit behind, which is no big deal. You'll probably hear this in about 20 minutes. But yeah, someone mentioned Strider as well. Had to have been a few years ago, though, a couple seasons ago. So yeah, let's dig into this one more time. Soriano, Burns, Ryan, Sheehan, DeGrom, Hancock, and Landon Roop. This is where I ask you guys, pop into the chat. Even if you're a lurker, crawl out of that cave, stand erect, and type. If you had to go 3 pitchers today in any rotation, doesn't matter, right? 3 pitchers today to use across all of your lineups. Who are your 3 pitchers going to be? It's actually a really tough question. If I can make it work, it's no doubt Soriano, Burns, and Ryan. No doubt. If I can make it work, of course I want Joe Ryan against the White Sox. Of course I want Chase Burns. He's been elite. And I don't know how you wouldn't want Soriano. Could Soriano disappoint? Yeah, obviously Soriano could just suck. He's done it in good spots. But when you've got Soriano with a 7.5K prop, 18 and a half outs prop at home. Colorado 3.4 total, and he's not even 10K. He's not even the most expensive pitcher on the slate. That gets tough. 1122 says the top three. I'm with you. I hear you. Are you saying top three in our exposures, or are you saying top three in price? Because if it's top three in price, you're swapping Joe Ryan for Jacob deGrom. I like deGrom, but I prefer Joe Ryan here. Captain America Bleeds. Give me Joe Ryan for the monies, deGrom and Burns. I'm with you. Big Kev, slate seems too easy today. Top two pitchers in Angels, Texas. I'm sure I won't cash anything. Yeah, I hear you, bro. All right, but you know what? There's still ways to get different, though. Just because you get chalky in some spots absolutely doesn't mean that the lineup itself has to be ultra chalky. Sometimes you could just play a bunch of guys at the back end of a chalky lineup, a chalky stack with more expensive pitchers and be different. We see that happen a lot. It happened the other day where I'm like, oh, nice, dude, I got a ton of this team. And I just pulled up the MLB app. I was out and about, right? And I look and they got like 8 runs. I think it was, you remember the Seattle game the other day? I think it was Seattle. They had like 8 runs and I had stacked the whole top of that lineup. And then I look and it was the whole bottom of the order that had like 3 home runs and 8 RBIs. It does happen. Clayton, Ryan, Hancock, and Soriano. Okay, so you're swapping Burns for Hancock. I'm okay with that. Chris, I'm just locking Soriano, Burns, all 150. Okay. Dalton, Burns, Soriano, Freeland. You're serious, aren't you? Double A, what's up, man? Burns, deGrom, Soriano. Yep. Oh, okay. So, yeah, that rotate. That's fine. Sheehan, Burns, and Root. That'll get you a little bit different. For sure. Emmett Sheehan's we're getting 14%. Or he's owned 14%. We're getting above the field. We're getting slightly above on Hancock, but he's only 10%. And then Root's only 16%. So if you're going with those 3 and getting away from Soriano, Ryan, and deGrom, you are going to be very well positioned if that works. If it doesn't, turn your phone off, close your laptop, it's over. But Soriano is very popular. Burns is popular. deGrom's popular. And Joe Ryan's reasonably popular at 23%. Then it drops off 7% down to guys like Root and further down with Sheehan and Hancock. So, yeah. Grant, Ryan, Burns, and Hancock. Okay, so a lot of Hancock, too. Wicked Dingo, Soriano, Sandlin, and Ryan. Really? All right, well, if you're going with David Sandlin today, you're going to be very, very different. Because as you can see here in the top pitchers tool, his ownership is currently coming in at 2.73%. Very, very low. If Sandlin's your guy, well then, you are going to be on an island there. Absolutely on an island. And maybe it's not the craziest idea, right? Like, I mean, I guess it's not. The guy's shown some good strikeout stuff. Not bad. But how many pitches does he throw? Number one. That's the big thing. How many pitches do you get out of him? 7K flat against Minnesota. They have a 4.6 total today. Probably a good time for us to go. So many of you guys answered, by the way. I can't answer all of them, but it seems like mostly reasonable answers here. So let's go to the strikeout market and see what we're at. I want to see if Sandlin actually has a K prop. I mean, okay, so that's certainly not going to be a guy I roster today. And I forget who it was that just mentioned it. Do what you want. I'm only here to provide you and present you with information. And then, you know, you can do with that as you please. But the fact that he has a 2.5K prop juiced to the under suggests to me that this is going to be, I don't know, is this an opener spot? It doesn't say that it's an opener spot, but now it makes you wonder. And does he even have an outs prop? He had 14.5 outs prop with a 2.5K. Wow, that seems really low. 2.5K prop. Okay, hold on. I was at earned runs. My fault. That's why. Still 3.5. That'll do it. My fault. But yeah, even so, 3.5. little juice to the over. There's not enough meat on the bone there, in my opinion. So let's go down the strikeouts list and see what we have for us. Soriano, 7.5 in some spots, or heavy juice to the over on 6.5. Joe Ryan, 5.5 heavy juice or 6.5. Again, very good. 9K flat price point. DeGrom, 6.5, painted 6.5 across the board. Very similar there. Avila, 3.5. Landon Root, 5.5. Not bad, but given the rest of this slate, I mean, Burns is at 6.5 or 7.5. He's got the same exact numbers as Soriano. Emmett Sheehan's at 5.5 at a $7,800 price point. I like that. Hancock's at 4.5 against the Mets. He's probably the one guy of all of them that I would want to get the least amount of. Personal thing, but I don't love Hancock today. McGreevy, 3.5. Freeland, wow, dude. Freeland has a 5.5K prop in some spots. I mean, the Angels strike out that much that Freeland has a 5.5K prop. That's insane. I also agree with this, Captain America. If you think Sandlin deals, this is absolutely a spot where you should be attacking the prop market. No doubt about it. And even potentially grabbing some parlay options there, you know, with some of, you know, you could look at like some derivatives on the game, right? Or on the White Sox or on Minnesota. And also on the some of those props. But obviously with the way correlation's baked into it, see if you can find a boost to overcome that correlation tax. Either way, I don't. Hancock, to me, probably the guy I'd get the least of. Freeland at 5.5Ks is pretty wild. Rodriguez at 3.5. Sandlin at 3.5. So that's where we're at here. That's it. I mean, that's where we stand on K props for a slate like today and where we're at on pitching. Well, let's talk about some bats. Of course, I mentioned it earlier in the show. We had a bunch of people pop in saying they have been crushing lately, and I love to see it, and doing so with the tools. We always shout out the weekend winners. Our boy S&P. I haven't seen him in chat recently. I missed that guy. $2,500 with the four-seamer. Thanks to the tools, taking my inputs and doing their thing. Uncle T, 7,500 in the NBA showdown. Dude, awesome stuff. He's been on an absolute tear, and he knows it. And then Roger, Sunday Fun Day with the stochastic tools, took second in the 50 cent. I'm pretty good. 3 times in a month for him. You want to talk about tools paying for themselves, even if you're playing mini-max and stuff. Yeah, Roger's a good example of that. DFS fan turned 5 cents into 100 as well. That is such a tough tournament to win. Another win. Can't beat the tools. Second W in a couple of weeks. As always, MLB Strategy, 15% off. You want weekly MLB or NBA or any sport, core or max, you got it. You want monthly? It works for that too. And you're something, look, not for everybody. You already, not for everyone, but all access. The money you take off with a 15% discount on all access to get MMA, NASCAR, UFC, MLB, NBA, NHL is really, really massive. So link down below, MLB Strategy. Yo, join the Discord. Say what's up. Pop in. Get that stochastic avatar and pop atop the leaderboards. By the way, with all access, there's a discount if you have the avatar too, an even bigger discount. So you could apply the 15% on the all access plus the avatar discount, and then you're getting all of these sports for the entirety of the month, and you're going, oh man, and I thought that was expensive. But anyway, check it out, man. And of course, if you ever wanted to get the tools for free, link below, you can do so. Just sign up with any of our sportsbook partners. Follow these 4 simple steps. A lot of you guys have done this already for good reason. You get big sign-up bonuses on the books, and you get a month of core Sims, any sport you want for free. Every single sportsbook equals an additional month. So many ways to skin a cat here, friends. Jump in on the tools. Let's make some money together. All right, let's take a look at the top stacks tool, why don't we? Or I'm sorry, at our stack exposure. Let's look at our stack exposure here. I have no clue what it's going to look like, by the way. I'm genuinely as blind going into this as you guys are. I don't know what it's going to look like. So let's see. 5-man stack exposures. Kansas City, I totally get it. How much Burns are we getting? 40% Burns. How much Kansas City are we getting? 16, 22, 30. some of you may be scratching your heads at that, but others of you are going to be like, hey, that actually makes a ton of sense. It's a good park. You know, it's a great park. And why would I not want to do that? Yeah. Clayton, Laffy, do you keep your parlays pitching or hitting centric, or do you combine? It depends. On FanDuel, I typically stay away from hitting props because they don't offer two-way lines, and it's, you know, you're not going to find anything that's really plus EV over on FanDuel. Pitching props on FanDuel can be profitable, but like Bet365, DraftKings won't let me get more than I hit a couple more home run parlays over on DraftKings last week, and now the most they'll let me bet is 76 cents on a parlay, which is just, I mean, like all the conversations you see on Twitter about, oh no, we limit people because of, you know, it's responsible gambling. Yes, of course it is, my friend. Yeah. Which is funny because they still send me casino offers. If that were the case, I don't think they'd be doing that. But yeah, it really all depends, man. Yeah, I'll throw anything in. But if it's same game parlays, you try and mix it up, because if you do all hitting parlays from the same team, the correlation is going to just grind you into dust for sure. Tiffany, I'm sorry. I missed that one. I'm sorry. I got you on the next one, I promise. Marquee Sports, good to see you, brother. So let's go and look at this again. LA, we're getting 25%. We're getting about 30% LA, about 30% Kansas City. You got Cincinnati, Colorado against Soriano, a little bit there, a little bit of Texas. Yes, Josh and I will be doing the perfect lineup 5 days a week. Check it out. It'll be up just in a couple of hours. So make sure, if you haven't been there, to check that one out as well. And then that's what we've got for stacks, man. That's where we're at. Here, let's see what our actual lineups look like. Go to stacks here. Kansas City, Angels, 30 and 30 around. Cincinnati, Colorado, Texas. Should we look at individual bats? Oh, actually, I want to see what stacks we're not getting any of. Seattle, we're not getting any. Minnesota, that's an interesting one against Sandlin. Not getting any there. No Milwaukee against Landon Root. No Mets against Hancock. Very little San Francisco against, presumably, Patrick pitching a decent amount of innings. Very little Arizona against Sheehan. Not a lot of St. Louis against DeGrom or the White Sox. 5% against Ryan. Only 6% Dodgers. Texas, we're getting a decent amount of against McGreevy. Our double-digit stacks, though, Colorado, Cincinnati, Angels, and Kansas City. I'm not running this with any uniques, but I will if you guys want to see it. I think everything we can do here using the tools will help us at least figure out what they're trying to tell us. And this is all factory settings. We're not making any real adjustments here, right? So stack exposures change to, they change a lot. Kansas City and LA are still up top, but look how much this flattens out. Dodgers come up, White Sox come up, San Francisco comes up, Texas comes up, Minnesota comes up. We just flatten out a ton. For pitching, what happens if we run more uniques and we dig further down into these higher simmed ROI lineups? Soriano's at 57. Pitching still looks relatively similar, as a matter of fact. Doesn't change all that much. So let's clear out of these uniques and see what our individual bats look like. At catcher, Salvador Perez, Logan O'Hoppe. So Kansas City and Angels, no surprise. Carter Jensen, 15%. Hunter Goodman at 11. I don't mind that. First base, Ohtani, 32%. Pasquantino, 25%. We are getting to Kansas City, and we are getting to a lot of burns. Vaughn Grissom, 17%. Jock Peterson, 15%. Nate. Okay, so you have 6 guys at 14+% at first base with no uniques. 5, 10+%. I mean, look how flat our exposure is at second base. Now at third base, 23% Eugenio Suarez. But again, this is with no uniques, and we're still getting to really flat positions. Now at shortstop, Zach Neto and Bobby Witt are taking up a lot of real estate there. A lot. I mean, the bulk of it. And in the outfield, Joe Adell, Shohei Ohtani, Caglione, and Jose Siri, they're all up there, but nothing crazy. So our highest owned non-pitchers, Zach Neto, Bobby Witt, both at the same position and both very expensive. So we're paying a premium for both of those guys. Joe Adele, Shohei Ohtani, Vinny Pasquantino, Suarez, Caglione, and Salvador Perez, and Logan O'Hoppe, all above 20%. That's where we're at. And then when you look at the individual lineups, like we have Burns and Ryan with a 5-2 Rockies Rangers. We have Burns and Soriano, the two highest priced pitchers, with a 5-2 Angels Texas. Right? So the more I look at this and the more I look at how we're building these lineups, it actually, and someone had mentioned it earlier, like I'll go to the expensive pitchers and some of these stacks and stuff, and I'm probably going to lose everything. Maybe, but when you look at some of these stacks, what I find most interesting, and if you guys, I'm sure you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing. Like, look at this. Colorado stack. And then the next lineup is Soriano. Colorado stack. And then two lineups down again is Soriano. And then Soriano again. And then a Colorado stack and Soriano again. And then a Kansas City stack and a bunch of Chase Burns. Another Kansas City stack and more Chase Burns. So yes, this makes a lot of sense. If you're playing a lot of lineups, whether it's the mini max or the main, you're definitely dealing with a slate here where a lot of the leverage comes from grabbing some of these stacks against these good high-priced pitchers who project well, but are also projecting to be extraordinarily popular. But then those pitchers look really good as well. So if there's one thing we could all take away from this slate is that I don't really think you need to take a now you can, but I don't really think you need to take a massive stand on any of this. I think the Sims are doing the work for us. And I love seeing that. The Sims are doing a lot of the heavy lifting for us and telling us quite like very, very simply, you don't need to be saying, I want all of Soriano and Burns with no Colorado and no Kansas City. You know? At least that's the way it appears to me. So that's where we're at. And it's a pretty good slate. We may have some of our Soriano lineups completely wiped out, but it looks like we're going to have some Rockies too. Might have Burns lineups wiped out. We have a good amount of Kansas City. Or Kansas City just sucks and everybody needs Chase Burns. That's entirely possible as well. Should we bet up a couple home runs before we get out of here? I had another really nice month using the Odd Shopper tools. I like to share these with you here, but also on the Snipe session, 1 o'clock Eastern every day, over on the Odd Shopper channel and my personal Twitter. Let's bet some home runs. Gorman, I bet at plus 650. That's at 6-1 now. If you don't have a Bet365 account, grab one immediately and try to keep it healthy. If you don't have BetMGM, I mean, my account got crushed up to limits, but if you don't have it yet, get one, keep it healthy. If you can do that, you are going to, hands down, 100% profit betting home runs. It's that simple. You will, because the odds are so like Bally's is another one. If you have Bally's, if you have Hard Rock, because what I do here, and I'll show you for those of you guys who use Odd Shopper or just like tuning into the shows. By the way, no better way to mitigate the crazy variance in DFS to use these type of tools and bet. Snipe 50 at oddshopper.com gets you 50% off any weekly or monthly subscription over at Odd Shopper. That includes not just us betting these home runs, but the liquidity tool where you can spot sharp money and tail sharp money. You can see all of the highest liquidity orders across Kalshi, Polymarket, Novig, ProfitX. Massive ad. We just added it a month ago. Portfolio EV with plus EV bets, live in-game bets, live ARBs, all of that stuff. So that is all at your disposal. Snipe 50, 50% off. And if you have questions, please DM me over at Laffy on Twitter or hit me up in the Discord. I'm happy to help you out. But all I do is I set my edge books here. And I have 4 books that I believe, you know, if you get them aligning and other books, you're seeing them, you know, far off from the sharp edge, from the edge book market, then I bet them. And that's all there is to it. The hardest part about this is not winning, but it's keeping your accounts healthy, especially on somewhere like Bet365. But Gorman looks good. There was another one that just popped up that looked good. Ketel Marte at 5-1. Again, FanDuel at plus 390. Bookmaker at plus 405. Bet Online at plus 350. DraftKings at plus 370. They're on an island once again. And then you get something like BetMGM. Jack Caglione plus 500. When you have him at 5-1, you bet those spots. BetIntendi plus 775. You don't have to love the matchup, but the odds are wrong. Across the board, it's painted around 5-1. 5-1 almost everywhere. Where is it on BetMGM plus 775? I think you can understand why this would be profitable, right? It's like the most simple math in the world. You're not just getting the best odds, but you're getting odds that are going to win more on a bet that's going to win more than is being offered to you by the sportsbook. If we're saying the true odds are plus 629, but you're getting it at plus 775, that's going to win. That's going to win more than the odds that are being given to you. And it just equals profit. It just equals profit. But I'm not saying you need these tools, but they make life a whole lot easier. Garrett Mitchell, 9-1. Another great spot. FanDuel's at plus 680. DraftKings at plus 690. Look, plus 675 on a sharp book like Circa. Plus 700 on Bet Online. I'm going to bet that the moment this show's over. Jackson Churio, 7-1. Look, so many of these good ones. You can tail them here, or you can check the tools out. Whatever it may be, I'll never stop doing this. We'll always have free content. But if you want to actually make the most of it and see that Pickett or juice reel go like this each and every month, this is the way to do it, man. This is it. And I like talking about betting, so make it even more enjoyable for me when you guys are doing the same thing as I am, but especially when it's profitable. So we'll see you back here. I think we broke everything down. Good show today. Appreciate you guys hanging out. And we will see you back here tomorrow, Tuesday, big slate, and then a little day baseball as well.